Welcome to the video notes for lesson 4-6, metric system conversions. This begins on page 26 of your notes packet. Let's take a quick look at the learning target. I can use scientific notation to convert units. So we're going to be converting units, and you probably did this a little bit in 7th grade when we learned about proportions. So you might see some of that, or you will see some of that in this lesson. But then we'll explore and use our algebra skills and then also scientific notation skills to solve problems. All right, so we have an example on page 26. It says, measure the following line. Determine the measure in millimeters, centimeters, meters, and kilometers. So I went ahead and I measured this on my paper, and then I measured it earlier with a digital ruler, and I was getting all sorts of different answers. If you were to measure this on your own, I believe you would get on yours, I believe it's about 10.5 centimeters, somewhere around there. When I measured it with my copy, I had more than a little more than 11 centimeters. So I think what we'll do is we'll pick a nice number that's kind of in between. This is close enough for us to use this number. It is 11 centimeters. So I've measured it in centimeters and I got 11. If I were to use that same ruler, I would be able to tell the millimeters, and the millimeters is going to be 110 millimeters. Now, to find the meters and the kilometers, it's a little more challenging. If I used a meter stick, it would not be that easy. I'd need a lot of room. And a kilometer would be even more of a challenge. So, what I'm going to do is display something for you. And this is, I Googled how many meters are in kilometers, and actually you might not be able to see all of this. So let me see if I can fix it. Put it in the middle. There we go. How many meters are in a kilometer? And I got this neat tool here where I can change the different values. So I'm going to change this to an 11 in centimeters. And when I look over here, it tells me it's 0.11 meters. So let's come back over here, write that down. It's 11 hundredths of a meter. Now let's try kilometers and change that. It's actually pretty easy. Let's come back over. Now over here on this side, instead of meters, I'll change it to kilometers. And when you look at that, you get, so there's a tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths, 100,000. So it's 1100 thousandths kilometers. So let's write that down. 0.00011 kilometers. All right, now, which unit or units is most appropriate to use for the measure of the line? Explain. Here's what we're going to do. I want you to try to decide and answer this on your own. This will be a great question for discussion. I'm going to put a star here, and so should you, and then write this down. The most appropriate units to use, the most appropriate, appropriate units to use for the measure of the line. And I got that right from the question. The measure of the line is ... Now, you are going to answer this and then say why you picked it. So you're going to either use centimeters, millimeters, meters, kilometers, and say why you picked it. And we're going to have this discussion in class. I think it'll be a great discussion. All right, now, let's take a look at page 27. We're going to do a little converting. All right, so we're going to fill in this chart. So 1 centimeter equals blank millimeters. Let's take a look at our tool again. So I have centimeters. I'll change that to 1. Now over here, kilometers, I'm going to change to millimeters, and it is 10. So 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters. 1 meter is blank centimeters. So I come back over here, change this to meters, and I'll change this to centimeters, and we get 100. So 1 meter is 100 centimeters. And then 1 kilometer is blank meters. So let's come back to our tool. 1 kilometer is, and look at how many centimeters that is, 1,000 meters. 1,000. All right, so convert 890 millimeters to centimeters. Now, when I do my conversions, one way to do this, or one strategy, is to say, okay, I'm going to I'm going to make a proportion. So a way you can do that is centimeters over millimeters, or millimeters over centimeters, it doesn't matter. But I'm going to use this as like my key. So now I'm going to say, all right, I've got 890 millimeters. Millimeters is going to go on the bottom, so 890. And how many centimeters is that? Well, we don't know, so that'll be X. The proportion is this. Now, when I look up here, I'm going to use my centimeter to millimeter conversion. 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters. So centimeters on top, 1. Millimeters on the bottom, 10. And your proportion is set. Now, we can use the scale factor to solve it. What do I do to 10 to get 890? Multiply it by 89. What you do to the bottom, you do to the top, so multiply by 89. Or we can do the algebra way of solving this. So I'm going to rewrite this over here. I've got x over 890 equals 1 over 10. This is an equation. Solve it. I would multiply both sides of this equation, or the whole equation, by 890. So, when I multiply 890 over on this side, they cancel out and I'm left with just x. And over on this side, I get 890 over 10. Well, what's 890 divided by 10? X equals 89. So, let's answer the question. Convert 890 millimeters to centimeters. Now, this answer didn't have a label, by the way, so we were definitely not done. 890 millimeters equals 89 centimeters. And there's your final answer. Okay, now convert 12 meters to centimeters. Same thing. We are going to say, well, we could do a proportion, or we can say, okay, if I look up here, I've got meters to centimeters. What do I do if I've got 1 meter equals 100 centimeters? 12 meters is going to equal what? Well, what do I do to 1 to get 100? I multiply by 100. So to get from here to here, I'm going to multiply by 100. So what's 12 times 100? It's 1,000. So 12 times 100 equals 1,200 for your answer. So this is the non-proportional way of solving it. And I wanted to show this because when we do the two problems below, you're going to see this will make more sense. Another way to think of this is 12 times 10 squared, scientific notation. But our final answer then is 12 meters equals 1,200 centimeters. All right. I'm going to clear the screen, so pause it if you need to finish writing. All right, now we have two problems below that we're going to answer using scientific notation. And what's nice about this is you don't even need a calculator. So convert 4.5 times 10 squared kilometers to meters. Well, 1 kilometer equals 1,000 meters. So how do I get from kilometers to meters? I multiply by 1,000. 1,000 is like saying 1 or 1.0 times 10 cubed. So I'm going to use this to figure this out. Remember multiplication with scientific notation. So I have 4.5 times 10 squared. That's my kilometers. I'm going to multiply that by 1.0 times 10 cubed. Now, I'm going to multiply 1 and 4.5 and you get 4.5. I'm going to multiply 10 squared and 10 cubed. That's 10 to the 2 plus 3, which is 10 to the 5th power. So, here's my answer. I'm going to actually do that addition when I write my final answer. Here's the final answer. 4.5 times 10 squared kilometers is equal to 4.5 times 10 to the 5th power meters. And there's your final answer. All right, one more. Convert 3.4 times 10 to the negative 2 millimeters to centimeters. All right, so millimeters to centimeters. I have 1 centimeter equals 10 millimeters. So to go from millimeters to centimeters, I'm dividing by 10. Divide by 10. Okay, well, 10 is like 1.0 times 10 to the 1st power, turning it into scientific notation, right? So I've got my millimeters. It's 3.4 times 10 to the negative 2 power over, I'm going to divide by 1.0 times 10 to the 1st power. All right, remember our rules. So 3.4 divided by 1.0 is 3.4. 10 to the negative 2 divided by 10 to the 1st power is like 10 to the negative 2 minus 1. So to write my final answer, I do 3.4 times 10 to the negative 2 millimeters is equal to 3.4 times 10 to the negative 3 centimeters. And there you go. Easy peasy. Now, this can be confusing at first, so it's really important that you practice. Make sure if you had any trouble, go back and rewatch the video or come and see me for help. Good luck, and we will see you in math.